Open the special meeting. The Ojai Valley Sanitary District at on Monday, June 16th, 2025 at 6:04. Roll call, please.
First, Director Martinson,
Here.
Director Kintosh,
Here.
Director Berg,
Here.
Director Reed, Director Quillisi,
Here.
Director Curtis,
Yeah.
and Chair Ulrich.
Here.
Perfect. And just for the record, I want to announce that Director Quillisi and Director Curtis are attending under Brown Act provisions at alternate public locations. They have complied with all of the posting requirements, and their locations are noticed on the agenda.
Good. All right. In that case, let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, begin.
Allegiance.
Flag.
States of America.
United States.
Stands.
And to the republic which it stands, a nation under indivisible with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Item number 4, are there are no additions or amendments to the agenda permitted. So move to number 5. Public concerns. Once again, no one has popped up. Very good. Anyone here present? All right.
We have somebody in the audience that may have a public concern.
Okay. That's Israel?
No, in person.
They're sitting right there.
No, I just asked that gentleman.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Right. And he shook his head at my.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay.
I am just interested in finding out how this process works.
It's as thoroughly and as quickly as we possibly can.
Welcome.
All right, item 6, 7, and 8, that's approval of the minutes of the May 27th special meeting. The deferred payment of capacity charges agreement for the Perillo Family Trust, and a review of disbursement checks. Is there any discussion, comments, or questions?
I'll move approval of 6, 7, and 8.
Is there a second? Second. Good. Nelson?
Director Martinson,
Yes.
Director Kintosh,
Yes.
Berg,
Yes.
Director Reed, Director Curtis,
Yeah.
Director Quillisi,
Yes.
Chair Ulrich.
His name is okay. I responded to that. Thank you. Yes, here. Right, very good. Action item number 9, sewer service charges, collection on tax rolls for fiscal year 2025-26. That hearing. These items are 9 is has subsections A, B, C, D, E, and F. So is there any discussion, comments, or questions?
Only one on my part. Have we heard anything from FEMA?
I have,
Magically, the $3 million showed up yesterday.
I have not heard anything from FEMA, no.
And I reached out to our contact in Representative Arbogast's office. I have not received a response back, but that was earlier.
Thank you.
I did express some concern about FEMA because of the machinations going on in DC, and asked that question if there's, don't want to keep holding on to the department is essentially being disassembled and money elsewhere. Understanding is administration wants to have FEMA services performed by the individual states. Might be bad timing, as they say.
No, the timing may not be as important as how it's going to get funded if the
Well,
state.
that's what I meant as far as if the timing is, money's not there anymore, it's bad timing.
California certainly doesn't have it.
Yeah, I have a question. I may be jumping the gun here. Do we have a public hearing to hold?
Yeah, it's on the agenda. We're about to do the public hearing.
Yeah, jumping the gun. Fine.
Yes.
Fabulous. So, hearing no, questions, comments, or concerns, do I have a motion for item number 9, A, B, C, D, E, F?
We have to do the public hearing first.
We
On
do?
your
C.
consent agenda, you have
Do
to
A and B,
open the
but not
public
C.
hearing and then close the public hearing, and then hearing nothing, then you can make the motions on the A, B.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
right, so at this point, missing here something that I have is not.
Should say open public.
Okay, I see it.
hearing.
I see, it. Excuse me. Item C, state time 6:10. Of written communications by the clerk of the board.
We've received no written communication regarding this item.
Okay, do we have any public comment?
I have received none prior to the meeting.
Okay, in that case, then I'm about to close the meeting. Is there any need for anything? Additions? Okay. In that case, I'm closing the public meeting at 6:10. Discussion by Board of Directors. I don't think we had any. So, okay. Now we can go
Yes, so
All right.
A, B, D, E, and F.
A, B, D, E, and F.
I'll move for approval of A, B, D, and F.
Second,
Very good. Allison?
Director Martinson.
Yes.
Director Kentosh.
Yes.
Director Byrd.
Yes.
Director Reed. Director Curtis.
Yes.
Director Quillisi.
yes.
Chair Ulrich.
Yes. Item 10. This is the sewer capacity charges paid in installments collected on the tax rolls for fiscal year 2025-26. Setting a hearing. The item A is adopt resolution 2025-09 regarding collection of capacity charges by the county of Ventura. And B is adopt Exhibit A, the report listing parcels with the final amounts to be collected for fiscal year 2025-26 for reentry on the general tax roll for collection in fiscal year 2025-26. Please conduct a public hearing on this item. I'm going to open the public hearing at 6:12. Give a staff report and recommendations.
Recommendations is to conduct the public hearing, adopt the list, A and B list to go on tax roll for the deferred payment agreement. And we've received no written communication and no public comment prior to the meeting.
Good. Okay. Yes, then I'm going to close the public meeting at 6:12. D, adopt Exhibit B, the report listing parcels with the final amounts to be collected by fiscal year 2025-26 for initial entry on the general tax roll for collection in fiscal year 2025-26. E, direct the clerk of the board to file a certified copy of the adopted resolution with the Ventura County Auditor Controller with statement endorsed over her signature that the resolution was adopted by your board. And F, direct staff to coordinate collection of the annual installment of capacity charges on the general tax roll of Ventura County with the county auditor, controller, assessor, and tax collector.
Yep.
I'd like a motion for item A, B, D, E, and F.
So moved.
I have Curtis.
Second,
Very good, Allison?
Director Martinson.
Yes.
Director Kentosh.
yes.
Byrd.
Yes.
Director Reed.
Yes.
Director Curtis.
Yeah.
Director Quillisi.
Yes,
Chair Ulrich.
Yes. Okay, item 11, proposed ordinance number OVSD-86, amending the district code of regulations to establish sewer service charges. I'm ask you to conduct a reading.
Correct.
Yes.
Ojai Valley Sanitary District Ordinance Number OVSD 86, an ordinance of the Board of Directors of the Ojai Valley Sanitary District amending the district code of regulations to establish service charges.
Okay, then, item B is conduct a public hearing in accordance with proposition number 218. Open the public hearing at 6:14. Receive staff report recommendations.
Recommendation is to adopt proposed ordinance OVSD 86, which amends the District Code of Regulations establishing a new service rate effective July 1st, 2025. It corresponds with the 4% rate increase adopted via the budget that was formally adopted on April 28th. Which will increase sewer service fees from $61.67 a month to $64.14 per month.
There are any written recommendations beyond that?
Or not.
Public comment?
We received none in advance.
Yes, then I will close the public meeting at 6:15 PM. So at this point, item C is adopt ordinance number OVSD 86 with new rates effective July 1, 2025. Do I have a motion?
Can I ask a question for,
Yes.
what percentage did our sewer service charges go up?
Percent.
Is important.
4%.
All right.
Yep.
I have a further comments? All right, in that case, hearing none, can I get a motion in a second?
Yeah, I'd like to move for approval of 11A and C.
Second,
Good, Allison?
Director Martinson,
Yes.
Director Kintosh,
Yes.
Director Berg,
Yes.
Director Reed,
Yes.
Director Curtis,
Yeah.
Director Quillisi,
yes.
Chair Ulrich.
Yes. All right, item number 12, announce committee assignments. And then vacant committee positions. I neglected to bring my copy with me, so,
We did not see you going.
oh, you can look from that perspective.
Chairman Ulrich sent me in advance his selections for the vacant seats on the committees previously occupied by Director Stone of District 1. At the last meeting, Director Berg was elected vice chairman, so he will automatically become the third seat on the executive committee because that one is made up of the president, vice president, and secretary. The personnel committee, he has decided to appoint Director Quillisi. So Steve, you're going to be on the personnel committee going forward. For
Very
the remainder of the year. Okay. And then the ordinance, public relations, newsletter, and webpage committee, Director Reed, you'll be taking Chairman Stone's spot on the committee. And I think that pretty much is all of them.
First one's the hard.
Mr.
Okay.
Chairman.
Okay, that is the extent of, no, needed for that one. So let's move to item 13. 2025 sewer main rehabilitation project, including construction paid services, contract number 2025-05 with In Situ Form Technologies LLC, and contract number 2025-15 with Phoenix Civil Engineering, budget adjustment number 2025-23. Item A, subsection A, find the 2025 sewer main rehabilitation project to be categorically exempt in accordance with SEQA section 15301, subsection B, and the district's administrative supplement to the state SEQA guidelines. And B, direct staff to file a notice of exemption in accordance with SEQA section 15062. And item C, waive the missing title, inaccurate statement of pre-bid attendance, and missing date of site inspection as inconsequential regularities. And D, approve and authorize the chairman to sign contract 2025-05 for the construction of the 2025 sewer main rehabilitation project between Valley Sanitary District and In Situ Form Technologies LLC in an amount not to exceed $689,402. And E, approve and authorize the chairman to sign contract 2025-15 for construction phase services for the 2025 sewer main rehabilitation project between the Ojai Valley Sanitary District and Phoenix Civil Engineering, an amount not to exceed $81,800. And F, authorize staff to spend up to $20,000 in ancillary project costs related to site access, restoration, and project execution. G, adopt budget adjustment number 2025-23, transferring $791,202 from the collection system replacement reserve to the major expenditures account to fund these costs. Right. Questions? Comments?
There's two irregularities in the bid, and normally we ask our attorney to get in and say something about whether or not those irregularities are significant.
Yeah, I looked at both of those. They were not significant. One had to do with site inspection. Confirmed that they had done a site inspection. They just didn't. They made it. We know what date it was, and something we could waive. And the other one was just they left the title off one of the signature lines, but they had the title elsewhere. The document identifying the title of the individual, so that was also.
That's one of the principals who were signing it.
Yeah,
I
inconsequential.
believe Director Quillisi had another question. He'd observed an irregularity relative to whether the contractor's license expiration.
Yes, that's actually non-mandatory. It's preferred but not required for instructions. And we're able to verify that. That's part of our typical bid review process, is to verify that they're active and current, their licenses and registrations. So they provided us the number. That's all that's required, and staff verified that it is active.
And would presumably also be active and current during the pendency or projected pendency of the project.
Correct.
Was there anything else, either Director Curtis or Director Quillisi?
Yes, this is Director Quillisi. I have a couple questions. I made a suggestion on page 73, section 9, paragraph 1, a suggestion about rewording what looks like standard contract language. And we can take that up later because this is already in the contract, I think. But it does commit the district to responding 30 days after receipt of said requested additional it commits the district right now when there's a dispute to respond 30 days after requesting additional documentation. And I would suggest it would be better to commit to responding 30 days after receipt of that requested additional documentation. Otherwise, the district may have little or no time to respond appropriately, depending on how long it takes contractor to produce that requested additional documentation. Okay, so that's one item on page 73. On page 76 and 77, it appeared to me to be the same form, and I must be missing something there because it occurs on the other contracts as well. Then on page 115 through 119, that is the contract with Phoenix Engineering. There's no provision for resolution of disputes, whereas there was such a provision with in situ form technologies. And I'm just wondering why one has such a provision and the other doesn't. I think that's maybe for the attorney.
Sure, I'll take those up. And Mr. Mextroth brought your one comment to my attention about responding to additional information. And I completely agree with you. It should run from the time of receipt of the documents, not from timing of our request for additional documents. And in fact, that's the way the public contract code reads. So in order to track that code, we should make that minor revision in the contract itself. And I think we can do that because the contract is not executed. So
So we've made the recommended changes to be consistent with public contracting code in the contracts that will be executed.
Excellent.
And I wasn't aware of your other question, but I believe because that other contract is not a public works contract, that it's for services, that we don't have to incorporate these dispute resolution provisions in the contract. So that probably explains why they're not included in that contract.
That answers my question. And one last item on item 13, this on page 126, the first bullet under the heading assumptions. It appears that traffic control will be outside the scope of the contract, in this case with in situ form. And so how is it being contracted and funded by the district? Or should we expect staff to come forward with a recommendation on that? Or is this within the purview of the general manager already? The amount is small enough that the board doesn't need to worry about it. Any of those are possible. I just didn't understand what the situation was.
So the written exclusion on page 126 is from Phoenix Engineering. Phoenix Engineering is the professional services, so they're not the contractor. So the contractor, situ form, would still be performing the traffic control services. Phoenix Engineering has an exclusion that they won't be doing traffic control services as a professional.
No,
contract.
absolutely correct. Yes. And yes, I got that in the wrong place then. Is traffic control in the scope for in situ form already? If it is, I just missed it and I apologize.
Yes, it's incidental to all the relevant bid items that would require it.
Terrific. Thank you. That's everything I have on item 13, sir.
Thank you. It's my understanding also in the event of an oversight or default like that, that it's expected that the board of directors provide traffic control. Right.
Whoever
Thank
gets
you.
the short straw. Yeah.
I have a cone in my garage we can use.
I have one too. So, between, we can, yeah.
Orange
And
vest.
some vests. Perfect. Okay. Right, in that case, then, I guess we need a roll call vote. Yes.
Motion.
Oh, motion, excuse me.
We need a
Oh, there
motion.
was someone who's missing.
I'll move approval of 13A through G.
I'll second.
And I think just for the record, we'll note that the one revision be made to the contract. So you're in approval with the revision we just spoke of.
Director Martinson, Director Kintosh,
Yes.
Yes.
Director Reed, Director Quillisi,
Yes.
Director Curtis,
Yes.
Chair Ulrich.
Yes. Right, item 14, 2025 spot repair project, including construction phase services, contract number 2025-09 with JH Engineering General Contractors, Inc., and contract number 2025-14 with Phoenix Civil Engineering, budget adjustment number 2025-2024. So the items are find the 2025 spot repair project to be categorically exempt in accordance with CEQA section 15301B and the district's administrative supplement to the state CEQA guidelines. E, direct staff to file a notion of exemption in accordance with CEQA section 15062. C, approve and authorize the chairman to sign contract 2026-05 for the construction of 2025 spot repair project between Ojai Valley Sanitary District and JH Engineering General Contractors, Inc. in an amount not to exceed $103,000. And D, approve and authorize the chairman to sign contract 2025-15 for construction phase services for the 2025 sewer main rehabilitation project between the Ojai Valley Sanitary District and Phoenix Civil Engineering, Inc. in an amount not to exceed $27,290. And E, authorize staff to spend up to $10,000 on ancillary project costs related to site access, site restoration and project execution. Finally, F, adopt budget adjustment 2025-23, transferring $140,290 from the collection system replacement reserve to the major expenditures account to fund these costs. Right? Comment?
One comment, sir. Well, several actually on 14. If I may, one thing I just noticed in subsection 14D, I think this is construction phase services for the spot repair project. The sewer main rehab project was the previous agenda item. Beyond that, I'm curious, pages 131 and 132, normally we see here are multiple bids and what the costs were. Were there multiple bids solicited for contract 2025-24? It cites ordinance OVSD-65 as being the controlling rule or regulation here. I could not find that. I found 64, but not 65. And that may explain why there were apparently not multiple bids. Could you explain that, please?
This is a negotiated professional services contract, which is allowed in accordance with our,
It is 65.
yeah.
Our purchasing policy.
Yeah, okay. Well, when I get back, if someone could point me to OVSD ordinance 65, I'd like to look at it.
We'll do that.
Page 136, section 9, paragraph 1. That's the same business about 30 days after receipt of additional documentation rather than 30 days after requesting it. Same stuff
Yes.
as item 13 before.
And we will note that those revisions will be made in the final contract before execution.
Terrific. That's all I have, sir. Thank you very much.
Very good. Can I get a motion? Second?
Move for item 14, A through F.
Second that.
Good. Ellison, roll, please.
Director Martinson,
Yes.
Director Kentosh,
Yes.
Berg,
Yes.
Director Reed,
Yes.
Director Curtis,
Yes.
Director Quillisi,
Yes.
Chair Ulrich.
Yes.
We need to note the typo as part of a motion, and then there's also a typo in D.
That noted.
Item 15, receive and approve the 2025 revised sanitary sewer management plan. A, receive and approve the 2025 sanitary sewer management plan as presented. And B, direct staff to perform periodic audits and updates of the sanitary sewer management in accordance with the State Water Resources Control Board waste discharge requirements. So, questions, comments, or
One thing that struck me about the plan is that it doesn't really cover the treatment plant at all. That must have a separate plan?
That's correct. Yeah, this is a requirement for the WDR, which is explicit to the collection system.
One of the observations that I made is that there's a lot of words in this plan as far as things we should do and explanations and everything. And it would be something you might want to give some thought to, would be for some kind of to-do list based on this plan, because if I read the plan and figure out what exactly I have to do after breakfast this morning, I'm going to have to do a lot of reading to find that. So it might be a good idea to make some kind of a checklist or some way to summarize this. There's a lot of stuff in there we have to be doing. I guess we're doing it.
We are doing it. And it's a
Material
lot in
for an executive summary.
Didn't hear all that. So
Oh.
Sorry, Director Quillisi?
I said a checklist of that sort, if it can be periodically updated, would be good material for an executive summary in the plan.
Great idea. By rule, I, as the general manager, have to take a look at it every 6 months. And also by rule is I have to prevent or prepare any addendums or updates. So I think it would be a good idea to put that to-do list on my next 6 months and have an executive summary with some schedules in there.
When was the last time we prepared this plan?
Don't know.
Well, we must be a little bit late, right? Because it was supposed to be 6 years.
Yeah, it was last done in 2019 and there's been audits since then. We complied with all the requirements. So we're right on track. It's due August 2nd. The
Yep.
CWIC's website.
This is
to
the right year for it.
Yes.
Yeah, good work. I didn't see that.
And it is us as a district, because we're talking about dealing with the state water resources.
To keep them happy.
It would appear that would be prudent, yes. All right, do I have a motion in a second then, please?
I have one error in the report I'd like to bring up, sir, if I could.
Absolutely, please do.
Page 193, paragraph 3, the second sentence says that the district has uniformly provided better or higher degrees of compliance than either state or national. And that is true except for the sewer line breaches early in 2023. And that fact is brought out by figure 1 on page 194. You can see it in the, in the net volume spills index volume, category 1 main system. We all know what happened. And that is, to my knowledge, the one and only time that we have exceeded the compliance limits or average compliance of either state or national folks in general. But I think we need to say that, perhaps by saying, with the singular exception of an extraordinary and extensive rainfall incident early in 2023, the district consistently performs better, and so on. But if we just say we consistently perform better, but the table on the following page says we didn't once, I would suggest a little rewording.
I agree. I've reached out to Fisher Compliance inquiring if they could accept it. They haven't had a chance to get back to me. I'm happy to broach that subject with them and see if they would amend the report, which I'm quite sure they probably ought to.
Yeah, on a couple of items of errata, which Allison already has.
Yeah, there was 2 other typos that Director Quillisi also found, and I brought those to Fisher Compliance's attention also.
Very good. Is there anything else?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Okay, in that case, then back to a second.
Well, if no one else steps up, I will.
I'll make the motion if that's what you need. I'll second it if someone's made the motion.
Do we want to have Kentosh as the motion, and Steve, do you want to be the second?
I'm happy to, proving 15A and B.
With the recommended.
With the recommended review of the error on page 193 and the correction of the typos.
Very good. Roll call, please.
Director Martinson, Director Kentosh,
Yes.
Director Berg,
Yes.
Director Reed,
Yes.
Director Curtis,
Yes.
Director Quillisi,
Yes,
and Chair Ulrich.
Yes. Good, thank you. Item 16, planning discussion of an optional 980 schedule. The optional pilot 980 schedule indefinitely until the time resolution incorporating a 980 work schedule into the OVSD employee handbook is adopted or direct staff as deemed appropriate. Discussion?
I like the first choice.
What I've
Continue
read,
pilot.
it's working.
The committee recommended that we go ahead and recommend to the board go ahead and proceed with the, continue the schedule. Not indefinitely, but at least put it officially into place. And what's proposed here before us today is a slightly different modification to that, which is just continue it indefinitely until a resolution puts it into the employee handbook. I think that meets the spirit of what he was talking about.
Yeah.
There was
At
one
this
concern,
time-
at least. There was one concern brought up to the committee that we should maybe emphasize a little bit, and that was the security concerns. Some Fridays afternoons, some employee might be working here all by his or herself. And in the winter time, it gets dark early, it's there's some concerns expressed about school safety. And then we discussed some options at the committee, like allowing the employees to park on this side of the gate. Or if that's big enough for everybody over or not. Other than the park, or maybe putting some kind of video cameras in, or maybe we truncate on Friday afternoons. Public entrance to the facility past 3 o'clock in the afternoon, because it seems like most visited on Fridays were early. There was a concern expressed about the safety of some of the staff, but it's getting dark. So I want to at least make sure everybody's aware of that. We put effort into. I think it can be resolved. We just need to make sure that we let our staff know we are concerned about them.
I would agree. Along those subjects, yes, I've gone over it with folks. They'll have a key code so they can open the gate to let themselves in here. We have ample parking that's back behind the next building that folks can park in. We can move some of the cars back there also. Regarding a little bit later close, that was a topic that I brought up. We're still waiting for a discussion on that. So perhaps, I wasn't thinking 3 o'clock, but I was thinking more like the 4:30-ish range Fridays, but I am with you. We monitored folks coming to the doors on Friday, and the last person we had was 2:50 on a Friday. To wrap it up and not come on into the sanitary district on Friday afternoons late.
Yeah, I think that whenever there's sort of a more or less, I guess it's not anomalous, but a consistent condition where rolls around periodically. I don't think it's detrimental to public service to the office. So that there's only one person here that's the skeleton crew and they can't service the public, right? Any issues?
And as a reminder, I'd like to let the board know that folks are coming in at 7:30. So there is a possibility if someone were to come to the door at 7:30 and it was bright, if it was a contractor or somebody that wanted work done, I think it would be appropriate for staff to perhaps answer that door if they wanted to. And they had a capability on those 4 mornings, right? So the Monday through Thursday mornings between 7:30 and 8. That's so if you were looking at providing service to the public, though we may lose a half hour or an hour on a Friday, we've made up 2 hours throughout the beginning of the week.
Okay.
Any other one?
So is there
Comment, sir?
the option for this schedule?
Answer that.
Yeah,
one.
I'd like
Hang on,
to,
just
sorry,
Director Reed has a question on the floor right now.
sorry.
So let's see if you can hold off for just a moment.
Yeah, the 980 is an alternate schedule. They have a choice.
That's correct. It's an alternate schedule. Staff has a choice of participating in it. They're not bound to participate in it. What I don't want to have happen is switching back and forth. It is actually a lot of effort. And I've made it very clear that, there isn't a specific rule that has been written. I think when we go to adopt it full time, that we probably ought to do that. Because it is difficult to transition because of overtime and California rule. To answer your question, yes, it's optional for the individual staff person.
There's no impact to the payroll department as far as both in on the same.
They're all in on the same, when during the transition from a 5-day-a-week schedule to a 980, there is a small impact on the payroll department where we have to be diligent on working. When is that going to occur? At what time in the pay period? It's not insurmountable.
And I think that, as time goes on, there's other questions that get generated. So they'll be at least reviewed and addressed course of the quote pilot program, unquote. Director Quillisi?
Yes, thank you. I was just going to suggest as another provision, and I'm in favor of continuing the pilot project under 16. I would suggest as another clause in there that we direct staff to draft an amendment to the OVSD employee handbook incorporating the 980 work schedule, since that does not seem to be a part of the item at this time.
That makes sense, or a draft item that addresses that.
Yeah. We'll continue the pilot program, draft a resolution to amend the employee handbook, and then we can vote on that when we have it in front of us.
Good. All right. So obviously, our vote on this item will include that proviso. Anything else?
Then I'll move approval of 16.
Good. Is there a second?
Second.
I have Director Quillisi and then Director Reed. So they beat you to it, Jack.
Good. Roll call, please, Allison.
Director Martinson,
Yes.
Director Kentosh,
Yes.
Director Berg,
Yes.
Director Reed,
Yes.
Director Curtis,
Yes.
Director Quillisi,
Yes.
and Chair Ulrich.
Yes. Okay, item 17 through 3. Anything as far as monthly financial reports?
There is not. We'll be
Good.
looking at where we land as we close June and July to make sure that we don't need to do any sort of additional funding to any one of the budgets for expenses that have gone over. We're pretty close in some of the line items, so we're just not sure yet.
I have a question about the operations report. I was rather impressed with the grinder and how it units up pieces. Do you have any idea what caused that? Someone throw a whiskey bottle in there?
I don't know. I'm happy to inquire with Bradshaw and crew to find out if they know what the details are.
Are there any repercussions from the broken grinder? I mean, we're still able to treat water evidently.
Yeah, as far as I know, there were no repercussions.
Item 18, a monthly investment report. Anything to? Okay. 19, staff reports, operation, administration, and management of the district.
Outside of the report.
Committee reports. So we have the personnel committee meeting of June 4th, 2025. I think that's been comment
That's
about
just a
that.
received file. Yeah.
Okay. See, reports on meetings, seminars, or conferences attended. Okay. Items of interest, correspondence, or articles. Would normally at this point have to comment about concerns about FEMA, but having already made those, I won't make them again. Board member and general manager comment.
I'm noticing the glass in the building there. Is that broken or is that,
That's the film.
is it the film that was
Yeah, it's in the
misapplied?
front of the as well.
Oh.
Had this conversation about it. So,
It
at
really
our
looks
last
broken.
meeting. Yeah, it does. It does. All that is just needs to be replaced. So,
comment. Our website, we're still showing a vacancy on the board. Okay. With that, I think we've solved that problem.
Anything else, Director Quillisi, Director Curtis?
I'd like to see another picture up on the wall when it's convenient for Director Reed.
We just got the frame, so we're gonna solicit a picture from him.
All right.
Says he's working on it. Amy must have asked him already.
Working on it in Photoshop.
It needs a lot of work.
Okay. We can hardly wait. All right, General Manager comment?
Yeah, I've got a couple quick comments. So of importance that I've heard over the course of months is recruitment and retention. I think the extension of the 980 is going to go a long way for retention here. I think the staff really appreciates that. And so on their behalf, I thank you guys. When it comes to recruitment, we closed the collection system recruitment. We've extended an offer. We had a very nice, very good field, a deep field with interviews. We extended an offer. This person is accepted and it's pending some administrative and physical requirements. And so the ball is in their court. So I'm expecting it to kind of continue forward in some regards. The treatment plant operator we're in the process of reviewing that and going out for recruitment in the coming weeks. Talk about some CIP stuff. I appreciate the board's movement on moving the CIP projects, the spot repairs. So it was the window screens, window shading has been brought to my attention, and we have had a contractor out here who did it last time, and they're going to be taking a look at it, or they have taken a look at it, and where they are with responding back with costs and the scope of work. I'm waiting on that. One thing I do want to bring up is the TMDL, the denitrification filters. So we started another run of those filters. It began on May 28th. It ran successfully for nearly a week, and then it started to ramp up, and we started to kind of get a feedback loop where we're either carbon or nitrite we're getting out, and we shut it down on the 9th because of high nitrite. So I've been in the process of reviewing the data. We're taking a look at it. We're in the process of preparing a schematic that's going to really help us understand where it is. Operationally, right, the reality is we have Stantec, we have our crews, we have the Parkinson's crews. There's a lot of people, and we're trying to streamline a method that we can all look at the same data and get our head around it. Where we're at right now is preparing that. We've got a plan already to modify the oxidation ditches. We think by modifying how we operate the oxidation ditches is going to, in essence, create younger bugs, part of the binding and the gooey gunk that we're seeing in the filters from older bugs. And so that's something we're going to start. Where we want the whole thing is we're likely going to restart another run at the end of this week or the beginning of next week. I do want to remind the board that we have a compliance deadline at the end of June on that. Technically, the compliance deadline is a weighted average over the summer. So there may be a little bit of room on that. That is where we're at. So we've given it more than the college try. We've given it the PhD tries. We are narrowing down. We've gotten longer run times. But as of date, we are not at the place where we can turn this piece of equipment on and let it run indefinitely. My update.
Have advised
I have not advised the state at this point.
hoping that
Yes, we're hoping to start up. The feedback I got at the last feedback I got was let's give it a couple more tries and see what happens. But I think we're getting close to the point where it may be prudent to advise the state.
deadline up.
June 28th.
Yeah, it's getting close. All
I
right.
have a question. Design of the new filter treatment plant, schematic or whatever, based on some bench scale pilot testing that was done by Montgomery Watson. I think it was Montgomery Watson at the time. They may have been bought out by Stantec or whatever. But it was based on this pilot scale. When you try to scale biological processes, they introduce errors or uncertainties. Just wondering, are you using that old study data as a resource, or is it now that we have the plant built, we have a real plant to experiment with? We don't need to look at the old pilot scale studies.
I don't know what the Stantec team is doing. I have only looked at the old stuff in concept only. I have been spending my time looking at actual data that has been gathered from our instruments over the last course of months. That's what I've been looking at. One thing that keeps coming up, and Stantec has reiterated multiple times, is when they ran a pilot last year, one of the differences is only one oxidation ditch was running. When one oxidation ditch runs, perhaps one of the consequences of that is you end up with younger bugs in the system. And it may be the younger bugs versus the older bugs that are exacerbating some of the issues that we're seeing. And that's been their recommendation to, again, shift the treatment train down to a younger biology. And the way that we do a younger biology is increasing wasting and waste more. It can be done with 2 oxidation ditches. Their recommendation is to start with 2 oxidation ditches, but at the same time is over the course of 2 to 3 weeks, if you can't get the young biology that we really will be looking for, then to shift it back to 1 oxidation ditch. So, and then when it comes to summer flows, I'm not concerned. I mean, one of the concerns with 1 oxidation ditch is you don't have the volume to treat massive flows. But the reality is we're not going to have massive flows in OI in the summertime, or at least we haven't in the last 25 years. I mean, I guess there's always a chance, but the point is it's like 10 days out and see that there's not going to be rain. We don't have any industrial dischargers that are going to flip on and dump hundreds of thousands of gallons at us. That's not going to happen.
Good luck with it, because biology is really hard to control. Those little bugs are going to evolve and mutate to defeat you. They can.
I think you're right. It's like Jurassic Park, smaller.
Anything else? I have a question. Do you have anything, Mr. Quillisi, Director Curtis?
Nope. I'm happy with everything we've heard. Thank you.
And I'm just saying this from the perspective of living through the city of Ojai, gratefully so, because this paving has occurred. But I am aware at this point the frames and the manhole frames haven't been raised yet. What's the sequence for that?
The City of Ojai project?
Yeah, well, I mean, the paving, I've noticed, I haven't noticed noticed a distinctive clunk of lower, a manhole frame relative to the adjacent AC on Liso and on Grant.
Okay. We'll have to look into that because I believe the raising of our infrastructure is complete.
Definitely on my way over. I mean, at least 3-4 manholes on Aliso between Bristol and going east to
Go to Montgomery and then wait.
yeah, it's not quite that far. But I have to say, I don't usually travel that way. So in any case, but they're definitely. So.
Okay, we'll look into it because
Good.
it does happen last, but
Yeah, well, the AC's done, it's striped. So at this point, yeah. Very good. Okay, is there anything else then? Hearing nothing, I'm going to close the meeting at the special meeting at 6:58.
Thank you, sir.